What is up, Spidey fans? Welcome back to the Thwip First YouTube channel. Boy, is it a great time to be a Spider-Man fan, as we just got our first gameplay trailer from Marvel's Spider-Man 2 that comes out exclusively on PlayStation 5 later this fall. So let's cut the chit-chat and jump right into this trailer. We start off with seeing our very first look at Kraven the Hunter, with his mercenaries looking for an equal. He's not impressed as of late, until one of his mercenaries proposes that they go to New York, as a new hunting ground has emerged with a bunch of different suitable targets to satisfy Kraven's desire for a challenge. And when the mercenary proposes New York City to Kraven, a bunch of different familiar faces pop up, like the Black Cat aka Felicia Hardy, the Prowler aka Aaron Davis, the Wraith, who we now know is Yuri Watanabe, the former captain of New York City Police Department. Tombstone is on there, as well as our favorite two web slingers, and even the Lizard, Shocker, Taskmaster, and the Kingpin. This catches Kraven's attention right away, and he alerts his team of mercenaries to light the fires. We're going to New York City. We then cut to an aerial shot of New York City with the timestamp of 6 months later. And the first thing I noticed is this is a different part of New York City that we haven't seen in the previous two games. We are now in Queens, where of course the OG Spidey, Peter Parker, is from, and we even see a football field for Midtown High where Peter Parker went to high school. As we start panning down to the ground level, we arrive at a house, which I'm starting to believe is Dr. Curt Connors' house, as Kraven's mercenaries are after the Lizard, aka Dr. Curt Connors. The mercenaries warn each other, saying, keep an eye out for the beast, as it could be anywhere. And Peter, out of nowhere, bang, just explodes out of the bulkhead, with the symbiote attached to him, saying, "You have no idea." So right off the bat, we get a very first look at the symbiote attached to Peter Parker in Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Man, as well as the ominous voice of Peter Parker that comes with the symbiote. And this is where we get our very first look at actual gameplay from the game, and boy is it awesome. Peter is not holding back his punches at all, and is really using that symbiote to his advantage against his enemies. As the gameplay progresses, we get a multitude of different animations that we of course have never seen before, and a lot more of dark Peter Parker.
He's gonna wish he never came to New York.
As just his tone of voice and what he is saying, we can tell that that is the Peter we are not used to seeing in this universe. After Peter quickly dispatches of all of Kraven's mercenaries, we get a quick cutscene of Peter listening in on Kraven's radio, where he overhears that the target is located near Harlem Fish Market. And if you have any knowledge of the geographical location of New York, you'll know that Queens is not very close to Harlem. But who does live in Harlem? That's right, the other Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and this is where we get to see, for the very first time, one of the many brand new features that this game is going to be incorporating, and that is being able to switch from character to character with one press of a button. And then boom, we're playing as Miles now. And right away we get to see another new feature of the slingshot, where Miles uses his webs and two metal poles to slingshot himself in the air to catapult himself at maximum speed. And right after Miles flings himself into the air with those two posts, we get to see the use of another unique feature on display for the first time. We get to see the use of the web wings, where Miles and Peter can seamlessly glide through New York effortlessly in just a quick amount of time. And it's also worth noting that while this is all happening, Peter's on the phone with Miles for a very quick amount of time. It's just very quick, short, and to the point with Miles, and kind of cuts him off and then really hangs up with him, leaving Miles really confused and feeling kind of awkward, because that's not how Peter usually is with Miles. He's usually very upbeat and lighthearted with him, and really takes pride in teaching him about Spider-Man even after he's been doing it for a while. So you can definitely see why Miles is a little bit confused here after this interaction with Peter. So Miles arrives to the Harlem Fish Market in no time, and this is where we get to see even more brand new features, this time for Miles in terms of combat. We get to see the use of the web line, where Miles can just shoot a web at anywhere and perch himself above enemies and easily attack them stealthily. And we even get to see a little more new details of combat that he's acquired over the course of the time between Miles Morales in this game. And we even get to see brand new epic Venom powers that he's acquired. And it's important to note that his Venom powers are no longer yellow, and that they're kind of like a light blue cyan color. After Miles disbands those enemies, he begins to follow the Lizard's trail of half-eaten dead fish that he's left behind, and that leads him to find some of the Lizard's dead skin that he's left behind, meaning that he's growing and getting seamlessly larger. And as Miles and Genki are kind of investigating this whole thing about what to do next and how is this happening, they're interrupted with a very loud bang. And that is, of course, Peter making his very epic entrance with the symbiote suit. And what Miles says to Peter here next just proves that this is the very first time that Miles is seeing Peter with the symbiote. As he says, "Hey man, new threads." And just as they're starting to get a little bit of the lizard's trail, they're interrupted by, you guessed it, the lizard himself. The lizard eventually breaks out of the fish market, which will lead Miles and Peter into this wild goose type of chase. And of course, this alerts Kraven's mercenaries. So now they got to worry about two things: Kraven's mercenaries and catching up to the lizard. So while they're chasing the lizard, they run into one of the mercenaries' gunships that starts shooting at them, and they got to take that thing down. During this chase, we see a lot of familiar gameplay, but we also see a lot of new things as well, like takedowns, web moves, and other different types of traversal things we haven't seen before, which is pretty cool. And keep in mind, this is not the final draft of the game. There's still plenty of more work to be done, as we don't even have a solidified release date yet. But right here is where we see classic symbiote Peter letting his anger and emotions get the best of him as he tries to blow up the gunship himself, and he ultimately pays the price for it, getting shot at because the gunship has defenses and he didn't listen to Miles when he was warning him about it. So Miles saves Peter's life pretty much and nearly gets himself killed in the process as he falls into the lake and almost gets eaten by the lizard. Then we get this kind of unique chase scene. It's like a reverse chase scene where now Miles is getting chased by the lizard, where we were just chasing the lizard as Peter and Miles. So it's kind of a unique twist that we haven't really seen before either. Usually we're the chaser, not the chasee. So as Miles and Genki are being chased by the lizard, they are just destroying this dock that they come across, and Peter is not happy, screaming at them,
What are you guys doing?
And then we get to see this alley-oop type of move. It's like a triple team up between Genki, Peter, and Miles, where Miles charges up the drone with his venom powers, and then Peter catapults it towards the gunship, causing it to explode. But unfortunately for Peter and Miles, the lizard got away. And as the crashing gunship starts coming down, it puts a lot of civilians in peril. And so Peter has to save one of them. But what's important here, as he saves him and grabs him, and when he lands, he kind of just shoves him to the side, shoves him to the ground without a care in the world. That is not the Spider-Man we're used to. And again, Peter's not happy that the lizard got away, but Miles tries to reassure him, saying it's okay, we still got the tracker so we can track him. And Peter just snatches the tracker away from Miles. And Miles is ready to continue the chase, but Peter stops him and says,
No. He's mine.
And perhaps the best lines of dialogue in the entire trailer is when Miles says, "The lizard's got big teeth." But Peter looks at Miles, and you can see the venom eyes start to form in his Spider-Man lenses, and Peter responds with,
So do I.
And Peter, boom, just takes off, and Genki's like, he's not normally like that, is he? And then Miles, very concerned sounding, and even just looking at his Spider-Man mask, he says, no, he's never like that. He's very concerned, and I definitely worried about his friend's well-being. But guys, that was the entire Marvel Spider-Man 2 gameplay trailer broken down for you. What did you guys think about it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was just, it was alright? I don't know about you guys, but I certainly loved every single minute that we got to see some gameplay of this game. I mean, after all, we've been waiting just about 2 years to get a sniff of news for anything about Marvel Spider-Man 2, and I'm certainly glad that Insomniac was able to give us this, as the game is just a few short months away, guys. Fall is not far away. But guys, that's going to do it for this breakdown video. Stay tuned, as I have a bunch of other videos coming on the game that I certainly want to talk about in much greater detail. And definitely stay tuned for my review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which I am seeing this upcoming Thursday. And I absolutely cannot wait to talk about that with you guys. So thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe if you love all Spider-Man content. And I'll see y'all in the next one. See ya, chumps.